it'll be fun. So
Perfect.
I'm just for the sake of introduction, I'm Audrey Weisiger, and I'm the founder of the Young Artist Showcase. I started this in 2010 with the purpose of allowing artists to have a larger platform than what I felt was being offered in competitive skating choreography. And I just wanted people to be able to make things and then show the world. So that's my reason for doing it. And I'd like you to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell the people that are going to follow YAS who you are.
Yeah. So, hi everybody. My name is Stephen Grant. I'm 25 years old, and I've grown up here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I've skated here all my life. I competed in USFS, ISI. I've dabbled in ice dance, so I was an ice dancer for a while. I did synchro. I did not American Ice Theater, but I did theater on ice for a while. And yeah, and then I did Disney on Ice for 7 years when I graduated high school. And once the pandemic started, I got let go of that job. And I traveled all over the world. Like I traveled 36 countries with Disney on Ice for the 7.5 years. And now we're back here in Minnesota, and we're working at Lululemon currently for my job. And then
you have a job?
Yes, I have a job. Yeah. I have a job at Lululemon. It's 10 minutes down the street from my house, which is great. And I've been working there for a month. And then I'll be starting cosmetology school here in 2 weeks at the Aveda Institute in Northeast Minneapolis. So very exciting things happening, very different things.
And so what is your involvement going to be in the future with skating? How do you see yourself being involved?
Yeah, great question. I would love to be a part of the Twin Cities figure skating metro area and choreograph, and just bring what I have learned from all my years, with ice dance, synchro, Disney on Ice, with performance, and teach other kids at all the different clubs I've skated at, just all that, all my education that I've gotten from all the things I've done. So
you're thinking about coaching?
Yeah, I think I want to be a choreographer for sure. Like, and I don't think I want to focus more on that than the jumps and spins, because the technical side and stuff like that just never, it never really appealed to me. Once I started learning how to be a performer, that really was the thing that interested me the most, I think.
And interesting parallel on my story, because I started off as a competitive skater, then I retired. I was supposed to go to college, get a real job, and I wanted to dabble in choreography. I just wanted to make great art for skaters and not coach skating.
Yeah.
Because I actually found coaching the meat and potatoes, which is the jumps and the spins, a little, for me, it wasn't as interesting. So I started teaching. I just want to warn you, I started teaching. And I realized that none of the kids could do anything I wanted them to do that was in my head for the program.
Yeah.
I had to start teaching.
Yeah.
So let's ask some of the same questions I asked the other Yazzers, and it was really fun. And I'm going to do some of the same questions, and then we will do individual questions. So awesome. What Yaz pieces are you familiar with, and which ones are your favorite, if you know some of them, and why?
Oh gosh. Well, I love like anything that Mauro did. I loved his I think it was like the Jazzercise program that he did. I loved that one.
Mentioned that too.
Yeah, and then I loved his I think it was the Stick With You, or it's the
Stuck on You.
Stuck on You, yeah. I loved that one that he did. Also, Anna Cobb as well. She's one of my really good friends. But before I knew her, I saw this piece, and it was the same Stuck on You piece that she did, that I really liked that she did.
So at least it's interesting that you do at least know some of the pieces, because some of the other contestants had not really explored Young Artist Showcase choreography. Yeah. So I think it's good. You really want to go back and review some of the history of the event, because you're going to see what worked and what didn't work, and even something simple like one of the artists shot a piece, but they shot it so far away, it looked like a bunch of little ants out there. So that kind of technical
And
reason.
honestly too, like even anything Cordero did, Cordero Zuckerman, like I follow him still on Instagram and follow all of his choreography, and I'm just so like anything he does, I'm just like blown away by and like just so inspired by.
And I do find that a lot of the Young Artist Showcase, they started to figure out what appealed on a video versus a live performance, and that was the other thing I noticed.
Oh,
Some
absolutely.
some people were better at the video, and then when I saw some of their live work, it didn't transfer as well. So
Right.
good for you. What do you know about your fellow Yaz, this current generation of Yazzers? You know any of the ladies? I know you just signed
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to tour with Adrian Ott.
Yeah.
Um, so I know her very well.
Good.
We're really good friends. Um, the other ladies, I don't really know that well.
So I think it's nice because each generation of Young Artist Showcase that we had, everybody kind of bonded because of obstacles and challenges where they were almost reaching out to each other. You guys, what are you doing for this or that? And I want to give some of the early generations credit for being altruistic, and like Adam Blake, I mentioned in the other group,
Mhm.
had spent a lot of time helping the other people upload, because back in the day, in 2010, YouTube was kind of a new thing, and
Right.
uploading was way more challenging. And so hopefully this generation will become a community.
Oh, absolutely.
You can reach out and rely on each other, and you'll have this shared experience over the next couple of weeks. So that's really important.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm so
okay.
excited.
Yeah. What hidden talent do you have that might be woven into some of your pieces?
Ooh, good question. Well, so in high school, I went to performing arts high school, um, and I was a singer. So I was classically trained as a singer, and studied that throughout high school. I was also in musical theater as well. So I've done a few musicals. I don't know if you know the musical, The Mystery of Edwin Drood. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one. No. Anyways, I
I'll
was,
look it up.
yeah, no, it's a great musical. And that one challenged me as well because I played the main character. His name was John Jasper. And I had to also speak in a British accent, sing in a British accent. And that was my senior year of high school. So that was a very big challenge. And so I have to give a lot of credit to my high school. It's called the St. Paul Conservatory for Performing Artists, for also introducing me to um, go beyond my reach and out of my box and to explore different talents and different things. And yeah, but I also play guitar, I play piano, so I'm very musically talented.
Well, we had some like Robert Motti, who was in the early years of Young Artist Showcase. He is a recording artist. He lives in Nashville. He actually was on national television recently singing in some celebration. I think it was the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Uh, and so he used some of that, his vocals, on a piece that he performed. And then we had, I believe, Tim Delansky, who wasn't in the contest, but all the Yaz kids made up a piece to an original composition that he composed and performed. So I do think it's kind of interesting sometimes when you see, like, one of the guys was an amazing juggler and he wove that into his piece. So I always am fascinated by a hidden talent that the choreographer has that somehow appears within their work.
Yeah, I'll try and throw some vocals in there into my pieces or something.
Yourself in a British accent would
Or
be
that too, yes.
cool, cool people.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I did a little silly quiz with the ladies about what is their personal preference. And I'm going to ask
Okay.
you. First one is cats or dogs.
Dogs all the way.
So that's 2 for dogs and 4 for cats. If you had the opportunity, would you rather go on a space exploration expedition or into the jungles of the Amazon? Space or Amazon?
Um, oh wait, I'm sorry, what was it again?
Space exploration or Amazon jungle adventure?
Oh gosh, probably jungle.
Okay. That was an even split. You're from Minnesota, so it was funny, the answers on this one. If you were given a vacation option, would you rather go to the ocean or to a lake? Beach vacation, lake vacation.
You know, I'm not, as much as I love the ocean, I do love the ocean a lot, but I'm also scared of sharks. I'm scared of like the the mammals and stuff in there, but I think I'm more of a lake person for sure. Not, yeah.
And that has nothing to do with being from St. Paul.
No. No.
I asked Kirsten Hall, who also grew up in the Twin Cities, I said, um, where my former business partner was, Sheila Thielen, they did a lot of ice fishing.
Oh gosh.
Took me, I went ice fishing, which was horrible. That was not fun. And then we did what do you call it? An ice, we jumped in a frozen lake for a
Oh,
charity.
the polar plunge?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what it was called.
Yes.
I try to block it out.
Yeah.
But do those things appeal to you?
Um, no, not in the slightest. It's so funny because my brother, me and him are like the complete opposite. You know, he was the hockey player, I was a figure skater, and he loves the outdoor stuff of Minnesota, and I'm more of like the metropolitan, like stay in Minneapolis person. But my mom just reminded me about this a few days ago, that I went dog sledding. I
Oh,
went dog sledding once. I don't know if you've ever gone dog sledding with
I
Sheila,
haven't.
but
That sounds actually more fun than jumping in a frozen lake,
yeah.
or the ice fishing. Mm-mm.
Yeah, no, not my thing.
All right, stand-up comedy or a documentary?
Um, oof,
Which would you prefer to
definitely.
watch?
Yeah, I think documentary. I think because I am a very outgoing person and I do like cracking jokes, but I can also, I find more interest in documentaries, I think, for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
If you were stranded on a desert island, you were allowed to bring one book and one snack. What would it be?
Hmm. Can it be a magazine? Or does it have to be
Okay.
a book?
Yeah, because I got another like out of the box answer. So yes, of course, anything.
So I definitely have to say anything Vogue.
Okay.
Vogue magazine, and then my snack would be probably Chex Mix.
Ah, very different. So the other, I'll just tell you what the other girl said. Um, Julia said Harry Potter book and peanut butter and banana.
Uh-huh.
Um, Brooke said some kind of a skating book that she was. I think she was talking about. Maybe it was Scott Hamilton's book. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And something from Starbucks. Isabel said, I want to say the writings of Marcus Aurelius, which sounds very serious,
Yeah.
and something chocolatey. And then Adrian said she'd like to bring a blank journal. So again,
Oh,
out of the box. She said, I don't want to bring a book. I want to write my own book. So she wanted to bring her own journal and peanut butter and banana. And Kirsten said something by Malcolm Gladwell and Nutella.
interesting.
So that, again, this is sort of, for me, it's a glimpse into a little bit of everybody's out of the skating world personality.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you the question I asked the ladies at the end of the interview now, because to me, it's sort of your typical answer, but what do you hope to gain from being part of Young Artist Showcase?
You know, I think I mean, the challenges are amazing. I think that I just want to be able to shoot outside the box, I think, and to push myself out of my comfort zones and um, yeah, just to be able to learn from the different challenges that come my way. Um, and just, yeah, to broaden my aspect on different ideas, I guess.
So you were recently given the challenges, or were you, I can't remember the process. Were you given the challenges initially, or were you recently given the
I
challenges?
was like just like last week I was given challenges. Yeah.
So tell us which one you looked at and went, uh-oh.
Oh, so there was probably, well, I think the third challenge, I think it's the clean sweep one, and using a cleaning product in an unconventional way. Um, and then also the fourth challenge as well, like having the blindfolds and, you know, not using your sight and having the movement be the way to move, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think those two challenges for sure.
Adrian also, she asked who makes up the challenges, and it was myself with Garrett and Kate's input. But the cleaning product one, she said, was that something that came to my mind because of the pandemic? These
Yeah.
challenges were made way before the pandemic struck. But now thinking back on it, you know, it is kind of ironic that you're going to do
Yes.
a piece based on something that you would clean and
Ab-
sterilize. Yeah.
yes.
What are the choreographers that have influenced you? What choreographers have you found you're drawn to, or have you've modeled some of your work on?
Good question. There's so many. I feel like, and I said this in my bio video too, people like Roheen Ward, I love Roheen and his work. I think he's just so inspirational. Tara Stom, who I also worked with in Theater on Ice. Sarah Kawahara, I love her work. I'm very inspired by like people like Lady Gaga. I've, you know, a lot of what she's done in live performances and stuff, I, you know, just find so intriguing. And I'm trying to think who else. I love, like, you know, Broadway people like Fosse. I'm very inspired by Fosse and some of his work for sure.
You want to study, since you enjoy Fosse, we had a challenge called Fosse, Fosse, Fosse.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the era of, it was this generation. So you
Oh
can
my
go
gosh.
all the way back.
Yeah.
And for me, Joel Deere did a piece in the Fosse, Fosse, Fosse challenge that is iconic. And he had 3 skaters in it.
Yeah.
And it was a total Fosse. Like you could almost imagine that if Fosse had skated, he would have made something like that.
Yes.
Did you make your icon?
I did, yes.
What I like doing every now and then is pulling out the old programs and get all the different icons, and it's really fun. Yeah, like I think Adam still uses his icon, the
Yeah,
cantilevers, and
that's
it,
so thick.
it just gives an identity and a quick recognition to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Without even remembering your name, if I see your icon, especially if it's unique and maybe peculiar, then
Yeah.
it will stand out. Okay. What is your favorite activity outside? It sounds like you're multi-talented. You like musical theater and art and those kind of things. So if you have a free weekend, what do you like to do?
I mean, I love seeing my friends. I mean, obviously, like right now, it's hard to like get together with everybody because of, you know, being social distance and, you know, quarantine and stuff like that. But let's see. Yeah, I mean, I like to read poetry. I like to write music. I like to just, you know, yeah. Still, I mean, I think I've always, ever since I was young, have loved to be creative. And any chance I get, I love to listen to music, to visualize choreography in my head. Like, and that was the great thing about being on the road and touring for a living, was that I had so much free time when I was, you know, going from country to country, city to city, to just sit and like look out the window, listen to music, and visualize, you know, me doing a song to, or a performance to a certain song that I was listening to, or just being inspired by the world, you know.
And it's interesting too that you mentioned Vogue. I don't know if you knew, we did the House of Morrow. Did you happen to catch that?
Yeah, I think that was, I think my friend Morris was in that season as well. My friend Morris was in it, and
Yes.
yeah, and I do remember that.
So Mauro Bruni made different articles of clothing, and
Mhm.
because he's a fashion creator, and I had him make random things, whatever he felt like making. Then I very randomly assigned each piece to a different YAS artist, and they had to take that article of clothing and create their piece around it.
That's so cool. I love that.
And it was, again, sometimes I would work with some of my uh, colleagues, and they're going, "How are you thinking of this stuff? What is going on up there?" Like, I always think about what would be fun for me.
Right.
What would I like? Oh, skating, having to skate with a broom. That would be funny.
Yes.
Hence the clean sweep.
Yes.
And I do think that it's important now, especially because we are shut down. A lot of rinks aren't even open, to
Hmm.
offer something to people that like skating, um, that gives them something to follow. And I think it's so important that they get to know you as people as well as artists.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
the more you know about a person, the more committed and connected you become. So
Hmm.
if they like your art, that's one thing. And if they like you, that's an extra bonus.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you do when you have choreography block?
Let's see.
Have you made programs for competitive skaters?
I haven't made any for competitive skaters. I do a lot of choreography like for fun, like, and for when I was on the road, like I was so inspired by like my friends, and so we would just like create stuff. And but I think what I usually do is I'll like just YouTube, and I'll just, performances that I've always been inspired by. I'll just like kind of just YouTube different videos, and um, yeah, just get inspired by artists that I like. Um, I'll watch a bunch of Lady Gaga performances. I'll watch some of my favorite singers perform and listen to them and what they do and stuff. And or I'll go on like a walk or something too.
So you haven't had what I think a lot of people that have to choreograph in the competitive system sometimes I find for myself, I struggle a little bit because I know there is that technical side where you want to get in as much credit as you can. Like you got to get that
Totally.
high score in there, and you realize the jump, to me, it sounds like it should be in this part of the music, but we have to wait an extra 10 seconds so that they can get into the second half of the program. And,
Yes.
I find myself sometimes recutting music so that I can get the jump on the crescendo that I want it on in the
Yeah.
second half of the program. It's just like that kind of stuff. I wish you those challenges. Thank you.
Yes.
Because I do think that's a different kind of work. It's a different thing than just having a fun vision, putting some music on, making something, which is wonderful,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have the confines.
Yeah.
Um,
I do want to like choreograph those types of programs for sure.
yeah, and you'll probably have the same headache I do. All right, let's do some. I didn't get to these, so this will be fun, especially because you're a singer. What are your top 3 favorite songs, all-time favorites?
Oh my gosh. Oh, don't ask me this question.
Well, you said you're a singer, so I knew that you would have a whole list.
Yeah. Um, currently, I'm gonna say currently right now.
That's fine.
Um, I would have to say uh, "Rain on Me" by Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande. um, let's see. Anything like right now, like I'm really like into like the 80s like era right now. So yeah. Anything like Donna Summer, Whitney Houston, um, let me think who else. Diana Ross. I love Diana Ross.
And,
I don't have a favorite song.
but those artists are now being introduced to this current generation from current TV shows that
Yeah.
are using those songs. I saw something on Netflix and I was thinking, oh my gosh, that was the song of I think it was the Tears for Fears, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. And it
Yeah.
was on a current TV show.
Okay.
And so the 80s, for me, I live the 80s. So it's not oldies, it's the music that I like. But the kids that I'm teaching at the rink are now playing the music that I I grew up with.
Is that fun? Like,
Thinking like, oh, this is, old school. Like it'd be like me listening to Frank Sinatra or something like that.
yeah.
But if you had to pick a song, like if I said, all right, I'm going to ask you to sing for the next generation of Yazzers, pick a song that you would want to sing that they would have to choreograph to. What would you like to sing?
Ooh,
Maybe this will be another, I'm making a challenge right
good
now.
one.
Steven's going to sing and you have to skate to it.
I would have to say, I mean, and I'm picking another Lady Gaga song, but I think "Shallow" by Lady Gaga.
Okay.
Yeah. Or maybe even, yeah, like, I mean, I love Frank Sinatra as well. Now that you mentioned Frank Sinatra, but like "Fly Me to the Moon" by Frank Sinatra, or "Luck Be a Lady."
Are you trained in classical operatic style singing?
um,
Yes.
I mean, I studied a little. I studied a little bit of everything. I studied. I did a couple of like Italian songs. I did. I've picked up a little bit of jazz music as well. Like, I dabbled in a lot of stuff. That's what I loved about my school. Like I said, like, is that we dabbled in a lot of different genres, which was great. And when I went to that school, like, I was not interested whatsoever to learn about classical music. I was just like I want to be a pop singer. I want to like write my own music. I want to why am I learning about music theory? Like why are we learning about music theory? And then it didn't start reading with me until I was like, oh, like I need that foundation to build off of, to be a great singer, to be a great pop singer, to be a musical theater singer. I mean, if you can sing classical music, you can sing anything, I think, It's just the same thing with skating with basic skills. If you have all the training with the basic skills, you can really just branch off of that and be, a great skater.
And these days I find, God, that makes me sound so old, like the kids these days, but they want to skip through.
Yeah.
We didn't have a choice. We had to do figures.
Yeah.
I spent hours going round and round on right forward outside edges. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, kill me now. I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
But to get a child to spend more than half an hour on just basic skating and a three turn and perfecting an edge and finding, a turn that is pointing the correct direction and all these kind of details, it's so important in their ability later on to execute really challenging physical skills with the use of their blades.
Right.
So, having that foundation, I'm happy to hear that you learned that foundation in it sounds like the FAME school. You know what I mean? Like the LaGuardia High School, where I think they shot FAME there. And I think artists naturally want to do their own thing. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
They,
Yes. I
they
think
have
my internet's like,
what I want to do. And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
natural. So it's good that you were said, yeah, you got to have that basic and that foundation. Can you tell me what are some of your favorite movies? What movies have you enjoyed?
Let's see. Legally Blonde.
Oh,
It's a good movie.
that's an oldie.
Yep. Yeah, oh gosh, I'm not really a big movie person that much anymore.
What's the last thing you watched on Netflix that you liked? I've watched a lot of horrible TV lately, but
I did just watch a documentary called Disclosure. It's a movie about, or a documentary on transgenders, and their life, and it was a lot of famous transgenders who were talking about just the whole community of trans. So I watched a movie on that, actually.
Interesting.
It was an
And
interesting movie.
I do think with the quarantine, and like I said, I've spent a lot of aimless time sitting in front of the TV going like this, but when you find something that you can concentrate on and it really does impact you, that's the one positive thing I'm telling my students and my colleagues. I said, we have to find something positive about what we're going through.
Yeah.
And if if exposing yourself to some things that you maybe wouldn't have done before it's reaching outside the box, then okay, then, because I've watched a lot of things I would have never watched normally.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna probably wrap it up with just let me one more question. And I did ask the other Yazzers if they had questions for me. I'm going to give you my speech that I gave them. Number one, remember, not everyone likes the same things.
Right.
So I used this example of an art teacher walking around the classroom and looking at the different paintings that the different artists are creating. And here's Renoir's and here's Monet's. And then all of a sudden you come over and then there's Picasso, and Picasso's all angular with 3 heads and blue faces. And it doesn't necessarily mean it was bad. It just was the way he saw his art.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to remember that even if the judges didn't like it, if it's what you wanted to make, if it's what you wanted to say, then it was worth doing. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sometimes really painful for some of the kids because they would get a 1 star and a 5 star
Mm-hmm.
on the same piece. And I know towards the end, some of the contestants were calling me and saying, well, what should I make? What do the judges want to see? And I always said, what do you want to say?
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, those pieces shouldn't be made for the judges.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit of my issue with sometimes competitive skating. We're making things for the rules and the regulations and the judges.
Mm-hmm.
It should first start with you. Art should start with the artist and what comes out of their soul. And then if the general public happens to embrace it and appreciate it, great. But if not, it still was what you wanted to say.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Remember that when you're getting your score.
Yes.
And just the why you want to do stuff. And some of the kids, you have to have a sense of humor, because this is an online contest and right now it's really challenging.
Yeah.
So, I know it's hard because for some people this is their world and their ego, and it's being viewed by everyone. And hopefully people will be kind in their comments.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's my spiel to you. And do you have any questions for me as the odd mama of the event? I'm the person that started it. I've overseen it. Thank God Kate and Garrett have taken it back on. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And it can be very frustrating. I had a lot of midnight phone calls from kids.
Oh gosh. Yeah. I mean, I've been following this competition for the last, well, what year did it stop? Was it 2015 that it stopped?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I had followed it for like the first 5 years, I think.
When you knew Anna was in it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you know Anna before being in the show?
No, I just met her this past year, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So we
She
joined.
actually asked me, can I photobomb this Zoom? But I said she wanted to.
Yes. She's
So
great.
she was a Yazzer. She had been a Quest for Creativity contestant, which is a different kind of a thing we do. And I think she was the first girl to win the YAS. We'd had a lot of female contestants,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the first 5 seasons, they were male winners.
Okay.
Or maybe not even 5 years, but it was Tommy, it was Adam, it was Mark Hanreddy.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a theory for the creative side for a lot of the men in the sport. Sometimes it's maybe a little bit more challenging for a guy to get into figure skating and become an artist in our sport initially.
Mm-hmm.
And so in order to persevere and remain and make a career out of it, you really have to be immersed in it. And this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it. And I don't care if the hockey players are making fun of me. And,
Yeah.
And so I felt like, again, they were more confident And this is what I want to say. I'm going to say it. And if you like it, great. And if you don't like it, oh, well.
Yeah.
And maybe women are a little bit more people pleasers too, you
Yeah.
know, because I think they want to do, well, what, what would be nice to make and things like that.
Yeah.
So, and that's just my opinion as to why in the beginning, I said to one of my good friends, Nick Perna, who's a big fan of Young Artist Showcase, I said, Nick, we've had all these great, talented artists, but the first 3 seasons, all the finalists were guys.
Mm.
Um, so that's just the way it went.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by I want everybody that's participating, because now we have the 5 girls and you.
Yeah. So I have all these girls, and then yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
And just be fearless. So do you have any questions for me?
I guess a good question that I think I have, or one at the moment, is what would you say if you're second guessing yourself while choreographing? Like what do you usually do when you're second guessing?
When I'm thinking, do I like this or not?
Yeah.
And most of the time, your first go at something is probably the right one.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start overthinking and over processing and over tweaking. And so that first thing you put down is typically the right thing. And then you can maybe, oh, I should just turn it a little bit so the angles are more appealing. And it's okay to make something and then break it apart and then put it back together.
Mm-hmm.
But your initial reaction to hearing the music, because you're musical, and then thinking, what do I want that music to, who is going to embody that piece of music? How is that body going to move to the music? Your first instinct's probably right.
Okay.
Yeah. And like, don't overthink it. And if it's really, really not right, you'll see it. Something I do sometimes is I shoot the piece with the music and I play it without the music.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not interesting without the music and it has to have the music, you need to spice it up a little bit.
Right.
Like movement in itself as a skater should be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you put the music on, for me, sometimes the movement accents the music. I'm playing with a very talented skater right now. He's an ice dancer who recently retired. And I'm having so much fun with him because he can do anything I ask him to do. I mean, literally, I say, hey, can you do the splits and then pull yourself up and then twizzle and then do a front somersault? And you go, yeah, like this. And he just does it. I mean, it's just amazing. But to create something that was so on beat, you didn't hear the beat of the music until you saw the movement with the music, and all of a sudden you heard all the different notes.
Right.
Which sometimes it's the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Like the notes are leading the movement, but in this case, the movement led the notes and made it come together. Gosh,
Yeah.
that's a roundabout way of saying just stick to your guns. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with being wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching Christopher Dean once. He was creating a piece, and they fell around so much. I was thinking, you're the greatest skater in the world.
Right.
But you're talking about pushing the envelope, and
Right.
you're just going to do the same old, same old. You're not going to fall down.
Right.
You're just going to stay on your feet and do the same programs over and over and over. Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
So,
I just like sometimes when I choreograph, like I'm always like, I do second guess sometimes when I'm choreographing, because I'm just like, oh, like, does this movement, reference what the music's saying, or like with what the lyrics saying at this time, and I just want to make sure that everything's like understandable to the audience and not just me. So that's why I'm always second guessing.
And lyric choreography for me, skating programs that have lyrics to them are tricky because you don't want to turn it into mime.
Right.
I see you, like it shouldn't look like put on a happy face.
Yeah.
It has to be led by the lyric. But sometimes I was watching some hip hop dancers moving to a piece of music that I'm actually using. I'm using the song Talk. It's an acoustic. It's a very pretty romantic version of Talk, not the Khalid one.
Hmm.
How you say his name? I don't even know.
Yes, yes.
See? This is the kids at the rink. But I heard it, and then I heard this other version, and I couldn't have choreographed to the hip hop version, but I can choreograph to the beautiful artistic acoustic version.
Hmm.
And if I just went, can we just talk? You know, like that
Right.
would be ridiculous.
Hmm.
But so the hip hop dancers, they actually had very little true mime type movement, but it was so powerful. And I think
Yeah.
that's, you accent your lyrics in a way that you're paying attention to them,
Hmm.
but maybe you're not talking.
Right.
And I do think lyric choreography is very tricky
Yeah.
because you can't ignore when he says, can we just talk? You don't want to do that.
Right.
So there has to be what feels right to you. And also sometimes when you look at something and you just cringe like, oh, not good, take it
Right.
out. Um, and I don't know if you have people that you trust to look at things. It's always been for me a bad idea to have people take a look at things until
Yeah.
it's done, until I got it the way I want it to be. And then if they don't like it, they don't like it, but I liked it.
Right.
You know who this guy is? This is Brian Wright.
Oh, okay.
He is the reason why we have, I showed the kids this, I want to show you.
Yeah.
He was named choreographer of the year. You probably can't see it because it's reflecting, but
Hmm.
choreographer of the year, 1994. He
Year I
was
was born.
dear, oh my goodness. Dearest friend, brilliant choreographer, performed on Broadway in a chorus line, danced with the Spectrum Dance Company in Seattle, Washington, and he was a longtime AIDS survivor. And I was with him through that entire journey from, gosh, I think he lived 15 years from diagnosis to death. And
Wow.
he never gave up his sense of humor, his integrity to art, and his compassion. He was sad, he was funny.
Hmm.
And if you can keep that in mind when you create art as well,
Hmm.
because I think sometimes we tend to make the same pieces because it feels comfortable and normal to us. So make something that feels uncomfortable, and then you've really pushed yourself. Oh, and I'll
Right.
tell you the other story I told the ladies. Brian was creating a program, and it was so unusual and unique looking. I said, "What are you thinking of? What's creating all these weird shapes?" He said,
Hmm.
"I'm thinking of lampshades."
Oh.
Literally, he goes, "I'm thinking of different lampshades." And then when I looked at it, and then I was thinking about what he was saying, I was like, "Ah, I get it. I can see the Victorian lampshade, and I can
Yeah.
see the modern art lampshade." But if I had to ask the question, sometimes when we watch Cirque du Soleil, let's be honest, you're going, where did that come from? Like,
Yes. Yes.
what are they
Absolutely.
taking? Got them there.
That's why I love art though. It gets you to think. It gets you to, if like you said, like if you're looking at a Picasso or you're looking at, just some classical piece of art, you're like, what was going through the mind of that person, and it's just so interesting. You can really just, push yourself to really think about those things.
Like, what was Salvador Dali doing when he,
Yes.
you know, like, what was going on in there?
What was going on with the Goddess of Venus piece in Italy? Like, what, you
And
know?
the classics sometimes, again, way back in the day, they were not allowed to make secular art. They had to make religious art
Yeah.
way back in the day.
Hmm.
I did a thing for, and we're kind of done now, but I did a thing for Doug Webster's Ice Dance International,
Yeah.
where I talked about, man has always wanted to express himself, going back to the dawn of time with the caveman.
Mm-hmm.
Have to scratch out, like make a painting, goddamn mastodon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
no, for sure.
from the beginning, we wanted to tell our stories.
Yes.
And now we have the capability of making videos and very quickly telling anything you want to, which is not necessarily a good thing sometimes.
Right, right.
But you can make anything you want to.
Yeah.
And to make something lasting, that's the other thing. I see all my students at they're going like this in front because they're doing their TikTok. I don't know what it is.
Yes.
But I said, kids, nobody's going to care about that in 2 seconds. It's gone. Make something that matters.
Yeah.
And then I just sound like an old lady.
But
Yeah.
that's why performance art is so great, because you can, take what you're seeing and, those are the memories that you want to hold on to. You don't like, no one's going to care what you tweeted about when you die, or no one's going to care about, what, photo shoot you had on Instagram, like it's just all about, what you've put out there in the universe and people have seen.
When I watch a great performance, my first reaction is always, I want to see that right again.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is when that was a great performance. I can't wait to see it again.
Right.
And these days in skating, it's a little hard. Like I have to really think, like, who would I want to watch? I had mentioned Brady Tennell's short program last year.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the programs that stood out for me that season,
Mm-hmm.
where I actually went back and watched it again. As soon as I saw it the first time, I couldn't wait to see it again.
Yeah.
And for she's a great athlete and she's so accomplished. But for me, for her, that was a seminal moment because she went from being a great athlete and competitor to being an artist.
Yeah, for sure.
Changed her whole image in my brain when you mentioned her name. So same thing for you guys. Like you're talking about Mauro. Like in my mind, when you say Mauro Bruni, I think about his artistry.
Yeah.
Do you know Zabato? Have you seen any of Zabato's stuff?
No, I haven't.
Very interesting. He's, again, multi-talented. There's so many. I encourage you to go back and study because you'll see like, oh, well, that didn't work.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
stuff that didn't work and stuff that worked.
Yeah. No, for sure.
So anyway, well, Garrett will clean up our interview, put on your icon, and good luck to you. You are welcome to email me anytime. I can't help you, but I can guide you.
Thank you. Yes.